I think we're all good to go. Manchester United 3, Burnley 2. That was an intensive game. I did not expect that game to go like that. Um, our first win of the season, and it came in a very, very, very weird game. I felt like in the first half we could have been up by, I don't know, maybe 3-4-0 up. Didn't happen. Was kind of disappointing. But what matters is at the end of the day, we got the 3 points. We're going to do the player reactions. There's a lot of content that I want to record afterwards. So we're going to be doing a deeper dive. This is the video. This is the stream. I said we're going to do a deep dive into Ruben Amorim and his tactics. We're going to do that today. And then I also want to look a little bit into Baleba. I want to look into Baleba and see. I know we won't be able to get him this summer, but see if next summer or in the January transfer window, he is a player that we could be going after. And if he fits the type of midfielder that I believe this team needs. But just overall thoughts on the game, and when we're fantastic, and when we're absolutely fantastic, and when we're doing exactly what we brought him in for. Lenny Euro, once again, the player that I keep talking about, absolutely flawless. Bruno Fernandes this time did not miss from the penalty spot. Exactly what we need Bruno to do. Ruben Amorim, I felt like the only reason why he played Kobbie Mainoo in that second half was because of the pressure he was feeling from the fans and from the player himself. Put him on. I feel like Mainoo had quite a solid second half, but we'll get into that in a second. Overall, just a lot of things going on. We still can't defend set pieces. Consider the goal from a throw-in. Still can't defend set pieces. However, if you're gonna criticize them when they don't perform, you have to praise them when they do perform. And in this game, I felt like, just by watching the game, you can tell that this team is not the final product. This team still has a lot to improve on. However, I feel like, again, if you're going to criticize them, you have to give them their flowers when they get things right. And the way these players responded today was absolutely fantastic. From Cunha to Xerxes, Ivan Dalot, Bruno Fernandes, everyone responded with the right character, the right mentality, and that is what we need at United going forward. The football's not going to be pretty, but if those players are willing to fight for Ruben Amorim, then we can definitely do something this season. And I also felt like there was no way that we could lose this game. There was no way we could lose this game after what happened on Wednesday. So, yeah, good bounce back and well done from the players. Frederick, my friend, like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy and want more content like this. I appreciate you, Frederick. But yeah, let's get into the player ratings, because that's what really matters. I'm kind of having like a weird feeling about doing these player ratings like straight away after the game ends. But, it is what it is. It fits the schedule. So we're going to carry on with it. Maguire's the first player here. We won't talk about Maguire because he didn't play. Beinders today, he did it. It's like, once again, he doesn't make any incredible saves. But at the same time, I can't criticize Beinders too much because I didn't think that he made, like, the second goal wasn't really his fault. It's just, we are just bad at defending set pieces. I don't think in that second goal you can put the blame on any single one player. On the first goal, you can kind of put the blame on Dalot, because I don't know what Dalot gave them so much space. They were able to put in a corner very easily. You can kind of put that on Dalot, but at the same time, not really on Beinders. So Beinders throughout the game, I'll give him a 2, because as a goalkeeper, although I think his distribution was good, and I don't think he was necessarily at fault for any of the goals, is what Roy Keane always says. As a goalkeeper, you have to do your job. And I feel like with Beinders, we haven't really seen him do his job at all this season. And that's mainly because I just don't think he is good enough. I just made a video on center alignments today, and I hope I hope that you guys can go on and watch that video. But we need a goalkeeper. We have maybe 48 to 72 hours left of the transfer window. Before the transfer window ends, we need to get in a goalkeeper. But at the same time, I don't really want to blame Beinders because he wasn't at fault. But at the same time, he wasn't good enough. Let me just pop this over here. Okay, let's carry on. My bad. Next player, Diogo Dalot. When I was first watching the game, my original reaction was to give Diogo Dalot a 1 out of 5. Dalot, and this was my fault before the game ended, at least in the first half. Dalot wasn't providing anything offensively. Dalot wasn't very effective defensively. Matter of fact, I kind of put some of the blame of that first goal on Dalot. However, Dalot made up for it for that assist. That assist that Dalot had spared them today because I was going to give him a 1. I was going to give Dalot a 1, but because of that assist, the moment that it came in, it was such an important moment. They just scored from kickoff. Dalot didn't like soak about it. He didn't spend too much time thinking about it. Dalot straight away put his head back in the game and went for it. So for that, I'll give Dalot a 3. I don't think his performance was a 3 per se. I feel like his performance was a 1, but that assist was so important. So important. And for that, I'll give him a 3. But at the same time, I'll repeat, I do not think Diogo Dalot is good enough to start for Manchester United week in and week out. I still don't know why Dogu was left out of the team. I think he might have picked up an injury. Let me know in the comments. Dogu, in my opinion, starts over Dalot any day of the week. And I'm glad Mazraoui is back because Dalot, if it's up to me, does not start another game for United. Next player, Mason Mount. Look, I do feel like Mason Mount is becoming a little bit overrated. I understand the work ethic. I understand the work that he does off the ball. And I definitely understand how that's impactful. However, I'm not seeing enough from Mason Mount on a final third perspective. And I feel like that's more of a Ruben Amorim system fault than it is of Mason Mount per se. But at the same time, I can't let Mason Mount off the hook so easily. He gets a 3 from me. Yes, Mason Mount does work very well off the ball. He works well off the ball. He tries his hardest. He's arguably our best, not arguably, he is our best presser. On the ball, he's always solid. But I don't think Mason Mount did enough to warrant a 4. That's my opinion. Cunha. I'm not going to run Cunha because he came off injured. But before Cunha got injured, you can just see. You can just see the impact that Cunha has on the team. Whether it's driving the ball, whether it's pressing, whether it's linking up. The goal for Cunha has not come through yet. And he missed the penalty on Wednesday. So I feel like Cunha does need to do a bit more work when it comes to goal scoring. But his overall game, you can't really blame Cunha too much. Cunha is one of the first names on that game sheet. It's just he needs to start scoring. I feel like Cunha just needs to start scoring. His overall game is very good. He's creating chances. He just needs to put the ball behind the net now. Next player. Didn't play. Casemiro. I feel like Casemiro is becoming a bit underrated. Kind of opposite to what I said about Mason Mount. Casemiro is doing a very solid job. A very solid job in that midfield. However, he didn't do anything spectacular in this game for me to give him a 4 or 5. I felt like as far as solid players go, he gets a high 3 for me, but it's between a 3 and a 4. Casemiro, very solid. He just does his job to a T. We all know that Casemiro sometimes can have periods throughout the season where his form just dips, but throughout these first few games, you can't blame Casemiro for anything. He's doing a very solid job in the midfield. Our midfield problems, in my opinion, are not down to any individual player. I don't think that our midfield problems are on Casemiro, they're on Bruno, they're on Maino Ugarte. They're down to how they fit together and to how this team is constructed. But today, Casemiro, very solid job. Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo came on in the second half. I said this before. I feel like Amorim was kind of feeling the pressure from the fans and feeling the pressure from the player himself wanting to leave. And he put him on at halftime. And I also believe it was the right decision. And Kobbie Mainoo showed why he needs to be starting for this team, or at least being involved more often. Kobbie Mainoo, the way he slows the game down, There was a time there where Casemiro came off towards the end of the game, and Kobe Mainoo went in the team, and he was playing more of that defensive midfielder role. And a lot of the times where a CDM might have kicked the ball out of play or try and play the safe pass, Mainoo would try and do the risky thing. He would try and carry the ball. So Kobe Mainoo is too valuable for us to let him go. I'm glad the board blocked that. I'm glad that Amri came out and publicly said that he wants to keep Kobe Mainoo. Kobe Mainoo is too good of a talent for us to let him go. And yeah, I feel like he didn't do anything spectacular in today's game. However, he gets a free from me. He was solid. If you're a free, doesn't mean you played bad. I feel like you played solid, but you still remember what 3 points feels like? Yeah, Skinny. I don't know, like, from this team over the last few games, 3 points has been like this far away thing that we've been aiming for. But today it felt good. And it also felt good to get to last minute. We should have buried this game in the first half. This game at halftime should have been 3-4-0. 3-4-0. However, the guys showed real character today. Every single one of our players today showed a lot of character, and I appreciate every single player on that team for fighting it till the end. It was like before we even scored the goal, the way De Ligt, Mainoo, Shaw, the way those guys were defending Mazraoui, they were defending for their life. Not one player in that team stopped believing today, and I appreciate that. And I feel like Ruben Amri, if we give him time, he's going to be able to build something special. But as I always say, Ruben Amri needs to try and fix this midfield. Ruben Amri needs to try and fix this midfield. Not try, he needs to fix it. Otherwise, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. But anyways, moving on. Luke Shaw today. I wanted to give Luke Shaw a 4. I'll give him a 3. I'll give Luke Shaw a 3. But again, it feels weird because Dalot should not be in the same tier as Shaw, Mainoo, Mason, Casemiro. But at the same time, Dalot got us that very important assist. And that's the only reason why Dalot is currently a 3. Because if we're being honest, today Dalot was more of a 1. But yeah, in terms of Luke Shaw, I felt like Luke Shaw was quite solid. I felt like he was a 3. Yeah, defensively, Luke Shaw, I hope he can stay healthy throughout the whole season because he's looked very good so far in that position. Mbeumo from me today gets a 5. Mbeumo from me today gets a 5. And I feel like Mbeumo is doing what Cunha is struggling to do. And that is just put the ball behind the net. Because Mbeumo's overall game is so good. I feel like he's not been quite able to link up with Amad Diallo quite as well. And I feel like that's been mainly down to Amad. And I feel like that Amad and Mbeumo need a bit more time to develop a relationship. Or maybe just play Mazraoui in that position and then bring Diallo off the bench. But Mbeumo's overall game is absolutely fantastic. Excellent on a 1-on-1. He's got a lot of pace. His first touch is chef's kiss every single time. And today he got the job done. He scored the goal to put us back in the game. He got the job done today, and Mbeumo gets a 5 from me. Next one, Lenny Euro gets a 4. Once again, I may be a bit biased with Lenny Euro, and I'll take that because Luke Shaw got a 3 from me. But I just feel like Lenny Euro is a much better distributor than Luke Shaw. I feel like defensively, there was this one play in the first half where the ball was almost like, I forgot the striker's name, but he was like on a 1-to-1 with Bayender. And Lenny Euro, once again, out of nowhere, clears the ball away from danger. Lenny Euro is the first name on that team sheet. One of the first names on that team sheet. And that's because he's just consistent. He's excellent defensively. He has improved a lot in the air this season. I don't really have any criticism for him for that this season. Last year, I felt like he was a bit weak. But this year, a lot stronger. and with the ball at his feet, Lenny Euro is always trying to push the ball forwards. Lenny Euro, second game in a row for me that he gets a 4. Very, very special player. We are very lucky to have him. Matthijs de Ligt gets a 4 from me again. I feel like this is part of the reason why I don't know why we even play with 3 centre backs. I feel like we are good enough to play with 2 centre backs. I don't quite like the partnership of de Ligt and Euro because there's not enough pace there. I feel like you have to put one of them in the bench, but we could always try. But in today's game, de Ligt as well, fantastic defensively, and he's playing in that central, central defensive position, and de Ligt is amazing every single time. I don't feel like he is quite as good as Lenny Euro on the ball, but defensively, you can't fault de Ligt today. Absolutely solid. Bruno Fernandes today, for me, gets a 5 as well. And the reason why Bruno gets a 5 from me is because I don't think his overall game today was like up to Bruno's standards. But the reason why I say that is because of the role he's currently being played in. Having in mind what Bruno is being asked to do, which is too much, and the fact that he has done, he's delivering in that position. He's not being amazing, but he's trying his best. Again, I'm not going to blame any midfielders individually because I feel like the system is flawed. But Bruno gave his best today, and at the very end of the game, Bruno done what Bruno does. I knew he was going to score. I knew he was going to bounce back from that game on Fulham. That's my captain. Bruno got the job done, and he gets a 5 because at the end of the day, in a game of football, you win by outscoring the other team, and Bruno today made sure that happened. You can't really do more than score the winner of the game in the 90th minute. Bruno today gets a 5. Moving on. I don't know why this keeps happening to me. Amad Diallo. I didn't really like Ahmad's overall game today because I feel like he's not linking up as well with Mbeumo. There's a lot of times, I counted 3 times in the first half, actually, where Ahmad he's just missing too many passes to Mbeumo. But at the same time, I felt like defensively, Ahmad's doing a very solid job, and he's been quite paramount to our overall game, our build-up phase, our transition phase. And today he got us the penalty. I can't put him as a 3 because I was gonna put Ahmad as a 3, but I felt like today he was a game changer. I felt like today these 5 guys were the game changers. Ahmad, de Ligt, and Euro, and of course, Mbeumo and Bruno. I'm going to rank Ruben Amorim last. Sesko needs to start more often. He got 2 crosses in the box that looked very dangerous. But as a striker, you need to give him more options. And this is part of the reason why I keep saying this midfield does not work. Because with our current midfield, you can't start Sesko. I realize that. Because Sesko is not that good on the ball. However, what Sesko is a proper goal scorer. So far in the Premier League, Sesko has not taken 5 shots into the goal. In 3 games, Sesko has not had 5 shots yet. Not in one individual game, Sesko has not had 5 shots in the Premier League yet. That is unacceptable for a striker. You need to give him chances. And from those 2 crosses I saw today, they looked very dangerous. But as a striker, it's like you need to be given more chances. And that's part of the reason why I think we need to move to a midfield 3. We need to go back to a midfield 3 because we need Bruno to play next. He needs to play in that middle area to connect our wingers and to connect the striker. Bruno can never be playing that deep. That is an awful tactic, and that is why I hate our current formation. I absolutely hate our current formation because Bruno is playing too deep. Push Bruno a bit higher up. Play with Kobe and Casemiro or Kobe and Ugarte, and you're going to see this team absolutely transformed. Bruno needs to be playing in the cam position. And then that will also allow him to create for Sesko and then Mbeumo and Cunha. And in turn, those three players are also going to create for Bruno, because let's not forget, Bruno is one of, if not the most dangerous midfielder when it comes to the final third. Last year, we finished 15th, and Bruno still finished the season with over 30 goal contributions. You cannot be playing Bruno in a midfield pivot. He needs to be... Bruno is a cam. Bruno is a cam. Bruno is a cam. Bruno is a cam. He needs to be playing in that cam position. And all of this to say, because when Bruno starts playing in that cam position, I feel like that will really unlock Sesko. But Sesko today... I have to be honest, he gets a 2. He didn't do anything. He had 2 good chances, but he didn't do anything. Like, I know it's unfair to give Sesko a 2, but at the same time, I can't give Sesko any higher. Dalot made a lot of mistakes, but he got the assist. Luke Shaw, Mainu, Mouse, and Casemiro were very solid. I cannot give Sesko more than a 2 today. And that's partially Amri's fault. And yeah, no one else came on, I think. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Am I missing someone? I think I'm missing someone. Oh, Cunha. I'm missing Cunha. Yeah, but Cunha came off. Oh, I'm missing Zexi as well. I need to add Zexi. Yeah. Zexi is not here, but if I had to rank Zexi, I would also give him a 3. I feel like Zexi was quite solid today, and I feel like he was also instrumental in that second goal. So, yeah. Overall today, I will give Ruben Amorim a 3 today. And I still think that our team is not good enough, and that's why I'm not going to give Ruben Amorim a 4 or a 5, even though we won. I'll give him a 3 because he set up the team well, and you saw that in the first half. He set up the team very well, and we had 3. We scored 1 goal, but we could have really been up 4-0. That wasn't his fault. In the second half, he made some adjustments. He brought in Mainu earlier. He tried, and it worked. So I'm not going to give Ruben Amorim anything lower than a 3. But at the same time, I also cannot give Ruben Amorim anything higher than a 3. I feel like a 3 is a fair assessment of what happened today. But yeah. Pardon me, guys. As I said, we're going to be doing some reactions now. And the first one is we need to try and understand what Ruben Amorim's system is all about. Because currently, I don't really understand what Ruben Amorim is trying to do. I don't get his midfield pivot. So we're going to look back. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, we're good to go. Yeah. So today we're going to look back. We're going to react to Ruben Amorim's system, what he used to play like at Sporting, because I feel like that'll help us United fans to understand what he's trying to do. Because currently our team is not playing well, and we need to see what Ruben's overall football philosophy is and see if there's any way that this team can be improved. Because right now, I generally believe this system is fundamentally flawed. But at the same time, he was very successful at Sporting. So without wasting any more time, guys, let's react to this video and let's see what Ruben Amorim is really trying to do at United.
Hi, my name is Miguel Teixeira, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will dive deep into the tactics of Sporting under coach Ruben Amorim, focusing particularly on the team's offensive dynamics. Sporting typically sets up in a 1-3-4-3 formation, which can shift into a 1-3-2-5, depending on how far up the wingbacks push along the flanks. In this image, we can see the beginning of Sporting's build-up phase, where the
and so far, it looks very similar to what we play at, to how we're playing at United. Of course, the personnel is different, and no manager will ever have a perfect personnel. You know, you need to adapt. You need to be able to adapt no matter what. And that's why I think Ruben Amorim is failing at. And I mean failing at, like, I mean that word seriously. Like, Ruben Amorim is currently failing at United because he's not willing to adapt his system. But at the same time, I'm really trying to understand what his system is overall and why it was so successful at Sporting. Let's carry on.
Team forms a 3+2 structure. The 3 central defenders initiate the possession circulation, supported by the 2 central midfielders, who position themselves between the opponent's first and second line of pressure. In this image, we can see how the opposing team attempts to block Sporting's progression through the center. The forward, along with Porto's midfield 3, forms a diamond shape to create numerical superiority in this zone, aiming to neutralize one of Sporting's main strengths. As a result, Sporting had to adapt, and in the initial
Yeah, and this is something that's happening with our team as well. This overwhelming the midfield is, if you want to beat United, that is the blueprint. That is 100% the blueprint. And you kind of saw it, especially against Fulham, where they literally explained their game plan to us after the game. Awobi and Marco Silva. Their plan was literally to just overwhelm the midfield, and I feel like that's very easy to do at United because our midfield pivot is either going to be Casemiro and Bruno or anyone else next to Bruno. And I feel like that is a very weak midfield pivot, and you're taking Bruno out of what he does best. Let's carry on.
Stages of the build-up, the team focused on exploiting the wide areas to create imbalances in the opponent's defensive organization. Let's take a closer look at one of Sporting's common dynamics after the ball is played out wide. Here, we frequently observe what I call complementary movements. These involve a support movement and a breaking movement, creating confusion for the opponents about which player and space to defend. In this case, the offensive midfielder moves to support and draws the attention of the opposing fullback, while the striker makes a run in behind to exploit the space created. As the play unfolds, the striker takes advantage of the uncertainty created for the opposing fullback and successfully receives the ball behind the defensive line.
And so far, we've not really been able to do that because we've not really played with a real striker. Sesko has not had enough time. The only time he got enough time to play like a full game was that silly game in the Carabao Cup that I'm trying to ignore. He's not had a proper 90 minutes in the Premier League. Ruben Amorim so far is not given Sesko the proper amount of time to develop. And that's part of the reason why I still think that although we're playing awful football, you kind of need to give Ruben Amorim enough time because the players have not really adapted to the system just yet. Like if this was Cunha would have not been in this position, and he keeps playing Cunha as a striker. And a lot of times Cunha will stop with Mason Mount. Mason Mount is not going to do these things. These are things that a striker is going to do throughout the game, like repeatedly. As he said, this is something that was happening over and over again. And I think this is something that Sesko can definitely do. So that's part of the reason why, for him to implement his system correctly at United, because at Sporting it worked really well because he had Gyökeres, he needs to trust Sesko more. He needs to trust Sesko more. There are so many flaws within United currently, and I've pinpointed the midfield so many times. But at the same time, the lack of a proper playing number 9 has been a problem as well. How your system was successful at Sporting because you had Gyökeres. You're not trying to play Cunha and Mount and Mbeumo in this ever-changing front three, and then you also want Cunha to play it just doesn't make any sense. He needs to play Sesko if he really wants to implement the system successfully. But at the same time, it's also up to Sesko to develop and become a bit better with the ball at his feet.
Gyökeres is particularly effective in these runs, using his pace and ability to hold up the ball, allowing his teammates to advance into more attacking positions, thereby providing Sporting with continued offensive momentum.
And what Gyökeres just done here, this is why Gyökeres is worth his money in gold. That perfect run he just made, and this little turn, look how many players he was able to. He's offside now, but he's just with that, he's able to bring 3 players into Sporting's. He's able to involve 3 players into this attack. He needs to be showing Sesko these moves. And I know that said Cam, but let me just go back a little bit. We're on minute 209, so I won't forget. But who's going to be playing in this position is going to be Mbeumo and Cunha. The only thing we don't have currently at United is the midfield. We do not have the same type of personnel he had at Sporting. But we've got Sesko, who can be coached into becoming a very good striker. We've got Mbeumo and Cunha, who we have already seen are elite. Then you've got your three centre backs, who I believe is also a strong point at United, with De Ligt, Lenny Euro, and Luke Shaw, and hopefully soon Martinez. It's just a midfield pivot where I believe Ruben Amorim needs to sort out the right personnel. But let's carry on.
Now, let's observe the same dynamic on the left flank, but with a different outcome. The wing-back receives the ball outside the opponent's block, and we immediately see the usual complementary movements between the attacking midfielder and the striker. In this case, the striker's breaking run draws the attention of the opposing defenders, causing them to drop deeper to protect the space behind them. This inside to outside movement pulls the defenders away and creates space for the attacking midfielder to receive the ball inside the opponent's structure, putting Sporting in a strong position to attack the final defensive line.
And just from here, you just see the absolute, not here, is back here, the absolute tactical discipline. You cannot have this that you're seeing right here playing Mason Mount. You will not have this. You cannot play Mason Mount, Cunha, and Mbeumo and expect to have this. You can, however, play Sesko, Mbeumo, and Cunha, and this will happen naturally. Because Cunha is natural, it's like he's more comfortable naturally drifting into the left. And Mbeumo is more comfortable coming off the right. Sesko has been playing as a striker his whole life. With Mason Mount, you're asking him to just move around the pitch, up and down the pitch, just whatever. Play Sesko and force them to play like this. If that's your system, because the current system that we have is not working, so something needs to give. It's clearly not working. We're not good enough. Something needs to give.
Deeper to protect the space behind them. This inside to outside movement pulls the defenders away and creates space for the attacking midfielder to receive the ball inside the opponent's structure, putting Sporting in a strong position to attack the final defensive line.
Very good so far.
Understand the opponent's concern in blocking passing connections through their defensive structure. The opponent forms a diamond with the forward and the midfield line, with the central midfielder on that side stepping out to press Sporting's central defenders. Meanwhile, the wing-back positions himself lower on the field to cover for the central midfielder who has stepped out, thus protecting the central corridor. Sporting again advances down the flank, but struggles to find the right timing to accelerate the play. In such cases, the central midfielder, or even the central defender on that side.
And another reason why this system currently works is because, again, the work the wingers are doing. You see how the wingers occupy the central position, and you see the amount of width your wing backs are currently providing. You can do that with Diallo. You can't do that with Dalot. Dalot cannot start again for United. The last few games we've seen with Dalot, and we've been seeing it for years now, Dalot is not good enough with the ball at his feet. I know today he got an assist, and it was quite a good assist, but overall Dalot's game is not like that. Dalot might get an assist every 15 games or so. Like, that is not something that Dalot's going to do routinely. I thought that that there was going to be a development there for Diego Leon and Harry Amas. If that's not going to happen, you've got Dorgu. If you don't trust Dorgu, then play Luke Shaw as your left wing back. Because currently our left wing back position, next to our midfield problems and next to not playing the striker, is part of the reason why we can't play like Sporting did. I saw it today with Dalot. Dalot cannot do this. With Ahmad, you can, but you kind of also need to teach Ahmad to play, to stick to the wing. And I feel like that's why people say it doesn't work, but Ahmad and then Mbeumo can definitely work. But it just requires Ahmad to stay more wide, and then Mbeumo needs to come in more to try and replicate what they were doing at Sporting. And if we do that, I feel like there's a chance for us to begin to play some good football. Because so far, the problems that I have with our midfield, if we played like this, it will be solved. Because you have Mbeumo and Cunha doing the work that you would usually have Bruno doing. You can definitely do it, but it requires Cunha and Mbeumo to be more central, and you can't do that if you play Cunha as a striker, because at the same time, Cunha is not going to do the work that a Gyökeres or Sesko is going to do, because Cunha lacks the ball at his feet. Cunha is more impactful as well with the ball at his feet. Let's carry on.
Becomes crucial in providing security support to the ball carrier, with the opponent effectively closing down the central corridor. Sporting opts to quickly switch the play to find advantages on the opposite side of the field.
Yeah. And I must say, like, it is a good philosophy. He just needs to trust his striker more, and he needs to find a way to sort out the left wing back position, because although I've been quite critical of Amory, it works. He didn't win two league titles and a bunch of domestic cups for no reason. Amory is a good manager, and his system works. It has worked. But at the same time, different league, okay? But if you want to continue to play your way, make sure you have those same characters in your team.
After the ball reaches the wingback, we see a new dynamic on the flank, this time in higher areas of the field. This time, it's the attacking midfielder who makes the inside to outside breaking run to exploit the space behind the opposing fullback. This movement pulls the defender out of position, and Morita, Sporting's central midfielder, gains the freedom to advance and provide support behind the opponent's midfield line.
Again, you see how tactically perfect they are, and you see exactly this is something that I want at United. This is Amad Diallo. This is Mbeumo. Too many times you have them two overlapping too much. I want Mbeumo to play more centrally, and I want Diallo to stick to the line. I feel like this can work. Oddly enough, this can definitely work at United, but Amory needs to force this into his players. Because overall, you know what? Ruben Amory's system, it can work at United. He just needs to really be more harsh with the way he wants to play. And again, critical to how this whole system works is Gyökeres. Because the amount of pressure Gyökeres adds to the centre-backs is crazy. Because one, you have to stick to Gyökeres. And if it's a one-on-one situation with Gyökeres, he's going to score. You have to double him, and that just gives your two. He calls them cam here, but they're not. They are cams, and they're not really cams. I'm just going to call them centre forwards. You allow the centre forwards in Cunha and Mbeumo here. You give them a lot of space and autonomy. But again, this also only works because your wing backs also command presence. So for this to work, you need Sesko to command the same type of presence, and you need your fullbacks here to command that presence as well. You need that width from your fullbacks, and you need your striker to be feared by the opposing players. But yeah, so far I like it.
Now, let's see a new strategy from Sporting to break down the opponent's defensive block. Sporting circulates the ball, and when they can't find immediate solutions for progress, the team is comfortable maintaining possession to tire out the opponent and look for new opportunities to speed up the play.
Yeah, we don't
This
do
time, when the central defender
United do not do that. I'll tell you that. When we can't find the play, it's just diagonal ball, diagonal ball, diagonal ball. We cannot tire out the other team. We don't do that at all.
receives the ball, the wingback stays high on the field instead of dropping back.
Fantastic.
We can observe what I call opposite movements on the flank. The attacking midfielder drops.
Oh my god, that is so key. Opposite movements on the flank. Ahmad and Mbeumo will do the same movement every time. That's part of the reason why Amri's system is currently not working at United. If this was Mbeumo and Diallo, they'll be both sprinting towards the flank. But here, again, this is why you need Sesko on the team. If Mbeumo comes in and Diallo goes, hey, I see the vision, Amri. I see the vision.
Towards the goal to attract the opponent's pressure, while the wingback moves in the opposite direction to exploit the space created. These movements are crucial for Sporting to create a 1v1 situation on the flank, particularly on the right side, where they utilize.
And then you've got your other cam. This would be Cunha in this case, coming from the left and playing here. And now you look at the numerical advantage you create. And your Keres is so disciplined. Numerical advantage you create, and at the same time you've got your left wing back continuing to add that width, and you look at the discipline of your Keres to stay central. But now, because this other centre back needs to compensate and try, and because again it's a 1-on-1 situation, he should try and compensate if this guy gets beat. Your Keres is now on a 1-on-1 situation as well. So you've got two 1-on-1 scenarios here, and you've got a chance here to also do an overlap, or to do a 1-2, or bring it in, where now you can possibly have 1-1-1, 2, and 3. And you've got your left wing back completely open. This is why Sporting won 2 league titles with Ruben Amri. The system works. The system works. It's just about getting the right players in that team. I see the vision.
Utilize a winger capable of exploiting these situations, either by cutting inside to use his stronger foot or driving towards the byline to deliver a cross. In these last 2 clips, we'll observe 2 tactical variations used by Sporting when the team circulates the ball in higher zones. First, let's look at an example where Sporting momentarily sets up in a 4+1 structure. One of the midfielders drops deeper to join the defensive line, allowing the team to stretch the width with the 2 outside center backs. This movement forces Porto's forward and interior midfielder to step out.
That is fantastic. Okay, I feel now with this is a fantastic video. I'll leave the link in the chat to iScout's channel. Fantastic video so far. We don't do that. You don't see Cunha and then Mbeumo, mainly because Cunha has to play striker, and then Mbeumo is constantly having to do Ahmad's part because Ahmad likes to come in too deep. Like, if either Cunha or Mbeumo, when we're building up, if they go and play in that camp position, helped by the width provided by the left wing backs, this is fun. This is amazing work that Sporting do. It's fantastic. This is beautiful football. This is actually beautiful football. It doesn't happen at United. Same tactic, same manager, but the movements are completely different.
And press the deep midfielder and central defender, respectively. This creates space for the wide center back to receive the ball and drive the play forward. As the center back progresses with the ball, we can clearly see the striker and opposite attacking midfielder maintaining a constant threat behind the opponent's defensive line. The goal here is to destabilize the backline and simultaneously push them deeper into their own half, opening up space between their lines and between individual defenders on the ball side. When Sporting struggles to progress offensively, we notice a consistent pattern the team uses to break down these lower defensive blocks. The ball side midfielder acts as an offensive cover for the ball carrier, initiating a sequence on the opposite flank. This backward pass, which often signals to the opponent to push their defensive block higher, also triggers the attacking midfielder to start a breaking run. This movement provides an option for the ball carrier behind the opponent's defensive line. However, as in this case, it can also serve to draw the center back or even the opposing fullback.
Look at the type of width your left wing back is providing. How many times, if at all this season, have we seen Diogo Dalot or Dogu providing this? Not once. That is another job that needs to happen at United. Is our wing backs not make Ahmad in a sense, because Ahmad doesn't quite provide this amount of width when the ball's on the other side. But especially our left wing backs, like you've got your wing back now inside the box. One little cross into the box, you've now got Gyökeres inside the box.
Back inside, freeing up space for the wing back to receive the ball on the outside.
Horrible touch.
Now, to wrap up, let's look at an example where Sporting sets up in a 3+1 structure, with Morita pushing higher up the pitch to join the two attacking midfielders as support options behind the opposition's midfield line. When the ball reaches the wide center back, we can again observe opposite movements down the flank. The attacking midfielder moves closer to the ball carrier, dragging the opposing wingback and creating space in behind for the winger to receive the ball in a 1v1 situation against the fullback.
This movement is something that Amri needs to drill down into, what's his name? Mbeumo and Diallo. And there's too many times during the game where Mbeumo and Diallo will do the same exact movement. This thing of your wing back going and your right winger, in this case, coming closer, is something that does not happen. And that's because in Sporting system, Cunha and Mbeumo would not be playing as wingers, they'll be playing as cams. And that's why we're talking about United being overwhelmed in the midfield. That's why it happens. Because our two wingers are not playing as wingers. Our two wingers are playing too far out wide and not coming centrally enough. Whereas with Sporting, those guys would play centrally a lot. They had the freedom to do that, and the width would be provided by your two wing backs. I understand it now. I understand Amri's system. I understand it, how he can implement it at United. But at the same time, paramount to the system is the striker. Because look, like Gyökeres is single-handedly keeping Porto's back four disciplined. Because they know at any point if they make a mistake, Gyökeres will exploit the space. He needs to allow Sesko to develop into this role.
Double option for the ball carrier. The striker makes a breaking run to attack the space between the fullback and the center back, while Morita accelerates to exploit the space between the lines and between the center backs, generated by the striker's run. Though the opponent manages to block Sporting's progression, the team remains calm, retaining possession and settling in the opposition's half. After provoking once or twice down the right flank, Sporting demonstrates its ability to escape pressure and quickly switch the play to speed up the attack.
Go on then. Very good.
Now, with the ball carrier in an open situation, we see Morita again positioned between the lines, offering...
And once again, the width your wingbacks are providing, how centrally your wingers are playing, and how high up your other center. Look at how high up the centre backs are. This is something that Euro and Luke Shaw can definitely do. But at the same time, for Luke Shaw and Euro to be doing this, you need your attackers to be further up.
Yet another solution in that space. At the same time, the closer proximity of players in this zone allows Sporting to combine through the opponent's block and accelerate the play. Also, take note of the number of Sporting players in the final third, not only during the creation phase, but also when stepping into the box to finish the plays.
They have absolutely overwhelmed Porto's defense.
If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything.
Fantastic work, guys. Yeah, this is the type of work that Amri is presumably wanting his players to do, but they're not currently doing. They're not currently doing that enough. And I feel like if he was able to implement this successfully at United, you could definitely see a different team. You could definitely see us being more successful. Frederick, I appreciate your comments, bro. I haven't been able to read them so far because I was kind of on the other scene. Send this video to the United board. I should. But yeah, guys, we'll kind of end it there. I appreciate all of you for watching. It's been a great stream. It's been a great game. Hopefully we can carry on this momentum. I'll see you soon.